He did what? Oh my.
Yo, what's up, my comic book aficionados? Your boy J-Rock right here. If it's your first time here, welcome. Now today, we're gonna be reading Nancy Collins' Swamp Thing. If you subscribe to the channel, you follow the videos, we've read issues 110 to 116. So today we're gonna start from issues 117 to 139. We're gonna finish the rest of the Omni, talk about it a little bit, and give my final thoughts. So a lot of people died, right, in this river, and their souls or bodies created this monster right here. Swamp Thing's daughter sees it. So you see she's talking to this monster. And right here she is talking to it. Now she's not seeing this monster. What she's seeing is this. She's seeing this kid, right? Look what she's looking at. So that kid, he's one of these bodies that's in that monster. It's like 6 people, and he being one of them. So it has 6 personalities. Previous video I complained about why we never got back to the monster. So here we're getting back to him, right? We're touching back on the monster, and you see how it's not really bad. Here it explains to you what we saw in the previous issues. This guy was like some sicko messing with children, and I guess the kid talked, so that guy tossed the kid into the ocean, tied him up where he couldn't swim, and he drowned. So this monster, one of the personalities is that kid, and you see him really it's like a tortured soul. You see him really suffering here, and right now it's the kid's emotions are taking over the other personalities. So even though it's a monster, it's still a child at heart. At this point, at times it can be somebody else, one of the other personalities. So even though he looks gruesome, he's not necessarily a villain, like I said, but you wouldn't know that by looking at him. Here are the souls of the people that died. So these 4 people put together are this monster. So one of the other personalities being this one, you see how it's angry right there? Because he saw these guys hanging out. And these are the guys that killed him. So look, he's just tearing them up, man. Tearing them up. Getting his vengeance on them. Now this story is one that was interesting, and I was like 6 issues in. I was like, we haven't got back to this. So I'm glad that in the beginning now of the 7th issue, we're kind of getting back to this monster, because they're doing a great job developing them. Now a lot of dark stuff happens here. We're talking back to this other kid that got kidnapped, and look, here's the dad and the mom. The dad's beating on them. Look at the mom, even slaps him with a freaking bottle. Damn, she's an alcoholic. Abusive home. Now at night, look at this. The dad goes visits them at night, if you know what I mean. And like the way the panel is, I was like, wow, like we're really going there, we're really showing this, right? So this kid lived a terrible life, to say the least. Now that the kid is older, here's the dad, here's the kid all grown up, comes back to visit his parents, picks up this axe, and you can see what happens there. And after he does this to the father, he leaves the corpse there, right? So nobody knows what happened. And he's like, hey, look, it's my pops. And you know, he split his wig, and he's still talking to the corpse. So because of his upbringing, he has all kinds of mental issues, and sometimes you wonder what makes people tick. Why are they the way they are? We don't always know their struggles, what made them that way, right? Life made them that way sometimes, you know what I mean? The same guy kidnapped Swamp Thing's daughter, so he done fucked up now. Boom, here's Swamp Thing. Ooh, they're about to get into it. So he grabs the daughter. He goes, oh, you know what's gonna happen to your daughter if you touch me, right? He runs. And look at in the background, who's there? The kid takes over. Remember he befriend Swamp Thing's daughter because one of the personalities is also a child. Bam! He just backed Swamp Thing's play, and boom, he just chomped down on this guy. This was crazy. So the monster walks away. The daughter sees him. Swamp Thing sees him. He decides, you know what I see there is no monster. He's more human than a lot of other people are, right? So that was the closure to this one. There was never a big showdown with him and Swamp Thing, but we did get a conclusion, and I really enjoyed it. Next issue, we get this girl. Ooh, it's another Swamp Thing creature from the Parliament. The Parliament is like at the table in the White House, where you have a lot of different politicians, some Democrats, some Republican, and they all talk to each other to try to run the country and whatnot. They had the same thing with the plans, right? It's a lot of them, and they all come to an agreement on things. So they sent her to help Swamp Thing raise his child, because turns out the child has powers too. Swamp Thing has to be a hero, so he doesn't have time to raise the child. So she's kind of like a babysitter. Look at Swamp Thing's wife. She's already yelling at him. And who is this bitch, right? You sleeping with her? Look, she's already tearing up, and she's clearly very insecure. Swamp Thing's talking to her, and he's like, hey, baby, relax, girl, nothing gonna happen. So she's threatened by her. You see her looking from up there, over here, right? Because she can relate to Swamp Thing a lot more than she can. She's just a human. Swamp Thing is a plan, and whatnot, and so is she. So they live the same life, go through the same type of situations. They can relate to each other more. So she's already stressed out because she's knowing this. She's knowing he's gonna fall in love with her because they have more in common. I can't relate to their lives. I don't live that life, right? I'm just a human. And then now even the kid turns out has powers. So like he's gonna steal my family because she's gonna raise my kid and teach her how to wield her powers, because I can't do that because I don't know anything about that. Oh man. We're starting to see some marital issues here between Swamp Thing and his wife Abby, because she's so insecure about the new babysitter. It's a trope we see it in shows and movies. Get a young, hot babysitter, and you think your husband still got it. He's still kind of sexy. He can still pull that young honey. She's like, I think she might be into him because he still got it going on, even though she's younger. And this is something similar. It's just she's a plant like him, so she's becoming very insecure. These insecurities and these actions can drive her husband away, right? It can be a total turnoff. And luckily, he's not going that route yet, but she's definitely being a turnoff, right? Like, you're like, oh man, like you need to chill out because you're driving him away. Here, this Lady Jane, she can grow plants out of herself just much like Swamp Thing. So she grows out these things, right? That kind of makes Abby hallucinate, but it takes her into the green, kind of, so to speak, right? So, and Lady Jane is telling her life. So as she's telling her life, she can kind of picture it, right? She's painting pictures with words, but with this drug she took, she can actually see the pictures. So this is her. The artwork did a good job here. You see her, and she's taking a look into her life. She tells her story. Back in the day, she was once human. Pretty sad story. This is her as a human. She got pregnant by her husband, who she doesn't really love, but they have a kid together, and it's frowned upon to have a kid and not be married, right? So she's stuck with this asshole. Look at his face. What a jerk. Luckily, one day, he's at work. He works like at a steel mill. Here's a bunch of hot lava that kind of wield the steel and whatnot. They're doing that right here. Lands on him. So he passes away. The husband, double-edged sword, because now who's going to help her financially, right? She has to find a job, learn to pay the bills. And back in these days, it wasn't easy for a single woman. You kind of had to be married. So, and then much less with a child, right? So she's working at this place, tossing flour and rice and stuff like that. It's heavy bags. It's a lot of heavy lifting, but it's an honest day's work, honest. So here she is, carrying this. You see her sweating her ass off. Now here we have the boss. For the most part, he's a nice guy. He's looking at her working hard, and this co-worker of hers, an older lady, kind of been there, done that, has much life experience, is bringing her along, talking to her, showing her the ropes, kind of, now that she's on her own without a husband. And this guy, he's checking her out, and for the most part, he's not a bad guy, but he's a married guy, right? And this is his company. He does have money. And here he's talking to her, that's a lot of hard work, and maybe I can help you. I'll give you some extra hours, and I can have you do some little lighter work, right? So he has her kind of like a secretary now. She's working as a secretary. She's appreciated for the extra hours, more pay. He's a nice guy, but it's still not quite enough because she does have a child. He's like, I'll help you get a cushy position. And here we go with the touching of the shoulder, right? To see if she, this is one of those things where some people could see this as like already harassment. And maybe it's just, like, how do you feel, right? Like, so it depends. Does she go along with it, or is she like, no, and she takes his hand off politely, right? And he's offering her new opportunities. And it leads to this right here. You see her, he's giving it to her. And the art here is real graphic, not just here, throughout the book. There's a lot of this type of stuff. It's very mature audience, right? So he's, I guess you could say, dating her, because it's not like he's threatening to fire her or anything like that. She's going along with it because she's getting something in return, right? And she talks about him, how
he's not necessarily a bad guy. She's just not attracted to him. She's not into him, but she's getting something in return, so it's convenient for both of them. She's a young woman at work, and he has money and he can help her out, and he's a position of like power, right? So she's like, it is what it is. Now here we see her, she ends up pregnant. So here she tells him, I know you're married, I don't want to ruin your marriage and whatever, right? She goes, but I am pregnant. Do you think you can help me? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll give you your hours, whatever, but I can't give you more money or take care. I can't claim this child, I'm married. So he kind of shows his true colors because he has to protect himself as well. This wealthy people, that still goes on today. They have to protect their money and stuff like that. So they can't say it's their child because then now, by admitting it, you owe them now, right? So she goes to this witch to kind of make a cocktail. Back in these days, this is how you get an abortion. You drink something, right?
After Lady Jane talks about her life struggles and her sad story, Abby kind of feels for her and she stops being like an asshole towards her, right? And she's like, okay, I seen you lived a tough life, I didn't know. And she explains to her like, the last thing I'm looking for is a relationship because I had so much bad experiences with it. Now I don't want to spoil how she became Lady Jane. Obviously something terrible happened and she came back to life as like kind of much like Swamp Thing, right? He died and came back to life as a plant, got a second chance at life. So something similar happened to her. Go ahead and read it so you can see the rest of her story and how she became who she became. But even though she's no longer being aggressively like a certain way towards Lady Jane, the insecurities are still there. And she's still there raising her child, teaching her how to do her powers. And her husband's still always talking to her where they're talking about plant stuff and supernatural stuff, right? That she can't relate to. So it's still there. And it's written by Nancy Collins. So I haven't Googled her or anything. I just know that she wrote novels because it says it in the beginning of the book. So I'm assuming it's a woman, right? So if it's a woman writer, and this story is very much kind of turned into a story about marital issues and relationships and stuff like that, and she's writing them through a woman's point of view, and I think it's very well written if you're looking for something like a story about love or relationships, but you don't want it to be too boring, like just a slice of life only. This is what this is. It's a story about that. I mean, when we throw superhero fights and stuff in there too, just to have some action as well, right? So it won't be just pure like dialogue. But yeah, it's very well written if that's what you're looking for. And it's I don't know if she's necessarily just talking about the way she sees things, or because obviously she doesn't speak for all women, right? Everybody has a different personality. But the way she's talking about the relationship here is Swamp Thing goes to work with his co-worker / nanny all the time, right? So they're living the same life. They're spending much more time together. At this point, he only sees his wife to have sex with her. Like, he just shows up, gives it to her so she's not insecure. Look, I'm still wanting some, means I'm not getting some over here with her, right? Once that stops, it means, oh, now she doesn't even want me physically. That will then mean, okay, now he's already doing something with her. That's why he's not starving when he gets home, right? So that's where we're at right here.
Here you see Swamp Thing get home, try to comfort her, don't cry, stop stressing out all the time. There he cheers her up a little, and there he goes. He's gonna hook her up. He's really giving it to her so she can be happy again. But once a relationship gets into this situation where you're always just having sex with the person to cheer them up, it's just a temporary fix. As soon as you're done, a few hours later, it's gonna go back to being insecure again. Like, that's not gonna work in the long run. Abby is confining in her best friend that she grew up with, and right now is living, like, not living with them, but living close by them. But now he's talking about he's gonna move. And she's saying, I've been spending all my time with you because he's always busy with this other girl, right? So she's always spending her time with him, and she doesn't want him to move because now she'll have no one to hang out with, like another human, right, that she can relate to. So she's clearly, you can tell by the writing, she's into him. And she's, look, yeah, there it is. You already know where this is going. She is there. He's comforting her, and that they're saying their goodbyes. And there's this paparazzi, taking pictures. He's gonna twist things around, but he's not really twisting things around as much as you think, because what he's implying is kind of really going down. We can all see it. Look at Swamp Thing. Now, something happened. I'm not gonna explain it to you because I don't want to spoil the superhero story parts for you guys. But here's something happened and he changed his appearance. So him and Lady Jane, they're helping the kid get her powers and learn how to use them. So don't they just straight out look like a happy family? Look at them, he's passing her, the kid, and they just look like a married couple. What we're seeing, she's seeing, right? She's seeing the same thing. They look more like a couple than we do. So there she goes again, confiding in the guy that she's cheating on her husband with, because she's already more in love with him. Like, oh, he's doing this to me now. You're her confidant, you know. She's like, don't worry, maybe things will change. And she's like, no, I see where it's going. If it isn't already happening, like if she ain't doing the same shit, right? Again, there they go. But again, she's really gonna miss him because he's leaving. She breaks up with Swamp Thing, and now she continues seeing her friend, and now he left, so now she's on the market, right? She's single, looking to date. She's looking for a job because her friend that was helping her, she could stay. She was living with him and stuff. He left, and she's divorced now, so now she has to get a job, right? She's looking around at this flower shop. Nothing's cracking there. She looks at this strip club. If there's work, she says, I'm applying for the waitress job. So boom, they give her this costume. They go, even the waitresses dress up here. Here she is in her fancy outfit, looking pretty hot, not looking bad. Clearly caught some people's attention. They're already hollering at her. And one of them that happened to be there is Constantine. And he's like, whoa, where's your husband? She takes him backstage to talk to him in private. And she's telling him how don't even bring him up. I hate him. I'm not with him anymore. And then she's, crying here, telling them how they got divorced. And look at the women, the way they drew them here. Here, it's a strip club, so we got some naked girls there. But while they're drawn attractive, they're not drawn like the superheroes. Like, they're not drawn perfect. You know what I mean? With six packs and all that. So yeah, good art right there. And I like how they drew them like they're in the dark, like in the light or whatever. Almost makes them look like statues. It reminds me a lot of the Greek statues or the Roman ones. Here's Swamp Thing just chilling out. Here's Lady Jane. She's talking to him and some rubbing of the shoulder again. She rubs his shoulder back. So we all know what's cracking here. Now plants, when they touch each other, her roots are rooting into him. Now they're connecting. This is what they're seeing in their minds. Woo! She's looking hot as well. Damn, something's a lucky guy. He just gets hot babe after hot babe. Damn, this was a player. Damn.
He did what? Oh my God, something went there, but now it's official. We seen it on page. We just thought maybe it was just a little flirting. Oh, now they're going at it hot and heavy. And here, plants, we show the artist show like pictures and drawings of them hooking up. But what the people see in the real world, they just see two trees merging together. That's all they see. It's like roots growing onto the other tree. So I like the way what the artist did. They're real creative and stuff. Now they're having the time of their life. He's going to Japan, to Siberia, to everywhere. He's going all over the world, taking his hot new girlfriend with him, right? They're going on vacations everywhere.
Here you see him hooking up with Lady Jane. And then when they're done, he starts thinking of Abby and he's remembering having some hot sex with Abby. And now he goes back to having some more hot sex with Lady Jane. This guy's a dog. Get rid of him, girl. Love the art here. See roots going everywhere because, they're going crazy right now. Shows here how she opened up her heart to him. Right. And then now we're seeing her human part when she was a human. See, this is what everybody else is seeing. They're just seeing two plants like rooting together.
Woo! Damn. One thing I gotta say about this writer is, in the beginning I wasn't sold on them. About 300 pages, 350 pages in, which is kind of a lot, but about 350 pages in, she really found her stride. Because she was struggling, for me at least, with the pacing, where you were talking about Swamp Thing, right? Swamp Thing, and we're developing villain and the horror story. And then you went a lot of issues and pages in another direction. And it was too much of that, of Swamp Thing, the father, the family man. And it stayed on that too long before we got back to the supernatural side of things, the Swamp Thing. And so the pacing was off for me and it was kind of losing me. Then around the 300 page or whatever I said mark, she really figured out how to do the pacing better, where it's like 10 pages, Swamp Thing the father. Then 10 pages, let's go back to what the villains are doing. 10 pages back to the father and his daughter and wife. 10 pages back to now
him being Swamp Thing and trying to figure out who this villain is, you know. So when superhero family life, she figured out when she got in her stride how to juggle the two, where the pacing didn't seem too slow or didn't seem too action heavy. Typically, when it comes to love stories, they're not really my bag. Most of the time, it has to be real light on it and more on everything else. Here was about 50, maybe like 65% love story and like 35% Swamp Thing, the superhero. But it worked. She made me enjoy it and get into it. I was like, wow, this was really well written, the way everything was going down. But I think she did a really good job where neither one's the good guy, Swamp Thing or Abby, and neither one is so innocent, and neither one's to blame. It's just sometimes people grow apart because you're spending so much more time at work, right? Spending time at work with the secretary or the nanny or whatever you want her job to be. Either way, his co-worker, Lady Jane. So he starts, you know, they have the same job type of thing. So he's relating more to her and talking to her about his marital problems, and she's spending more time with a neighbor who's her best childhood friend and talking to him. It becomes her confidant about her problems, and they start falling in love with that other person, right? Because that's who they're around more, and they could relate to that person more because that person's more like them. So sometimes nobody's really the bad guy, just they grow apart. As far as the Swamp Thing storyline, I don't want to spoil too much of that, like I said, and it was really good as well. Some introduced me to some interesting characters, and always the main villain in Swamp Thing is Arcane. Plot twist here in case you don't read Swamp Thing. Arcane is Abby, his wife's uncle, but she's always calling her a slut, and he's always calling their kid a brat, and a lot of other people always refer to her as a slut. So I guess maybe it's a thing in Swamp Thing where she constantly leaves him because she's not a plant like him. She's trying to make it work when they come from two different worlds. They really explore the human side, the family life, how relationships work. I thought it was very well done. So it almost seems like she writes romance novels more than if she wrote horror books, because this was a lot more romance than it was horror book. But yeah, if you like that kind of stuff, you're gonna get a heavy dose of it. If you don't, you might want to shy away from this book. You do get some action and some horror as well, but I think it leans more on that, like I said. Now, for more about the first 6 issues, go ahead and check out this video right there. It'll guide you right to it. Check out what happens in the early issues of this run. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscription button. You already know what's up with that. I'm gonna cut the video short right here because I don't want it to run too long. It's already gonna be like a 25-minute video as it is. And other than that, I'll check you guys out next time.